So what we're going to do, scroll and blast. About shoulder, any tips for shoulder routines? Now, I'd say the biggest tip we can give for shoulders is working your rear delts properly.
Rear delt.
We had so many people
should be like this, yes.
So many people lack this rear head here.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks my shoulders are crazy, but all it is a really good balance from front to back, which gives them that illusion of being really, really big and round. But don't get me wrong, my shoulders are my good point, and they're brilliant from my years of fighting, from all the punching, because that's your back, your tris, and shoulders.
That's a lot of front though.
Yeah,
mainly front.
So I worked heavily on the rear delt after damaging my rotator cuff. Made sure I worked on that a lot, and that has just pulled everything together very well. Because incorporating your rear delt also brings back detail and everything in. Very good.
And that's his tip. My tip would be sure you're actually activating the muscle. You'll see people have individual shoulder days, which is great. But if they're doing 9 exercises for shoulders and they kind of like do them endlessly to react to one, be sure you're performing the exercises correctly, especially for a smaller muscle group like shoulder. You don't need to be doing 4 different lateral movements. Pick the lateral movement, feel it correctly, and yeah, I don't think shoulder should be that difficult to train. Front to back,
here,
front, side and rear. And then
this is a good thing actually, that's a very good point. More does not mean better.
Yeah.
And that's a general rule in life. More does not always mean better. So don't think you're going to make something grow by adding 4 more exercises to it. Yeah. Just do the 4 you do, but do them better. And
guys, we should get on top of your frequency as well. I believe that a little bit higher frequency has really benefited me personally, and I think that higher frequency, I'm not saying work your chest 4 times a week. I'm saying your body has the capability to recover. So if you're hitting chest only on every Monday, your body is able to perform that same, or to work that same muscle group more than once a week. So kind of experiment to play with it. Try 2 times a week. Try working everything twice a week with a little bit less volume. So instead of doing 6 sets for biceps, you're doing 3 twice a week. So you're still getting that same overall workload, but you're gonna have more energy, more focus when you're doing less volume during your workout. So personally, that's what
I totally agree. I've recently switched a couple of months back to doing high frequency, so hitting things once or twice a week, working between kind of strength and hypertrophy kind of regimes. Nothing too rigid, just going in and organic training what I want to feel like doing that day. If something's very tired or grindy, I'll go lighter. If I'm feeling very fresh and pumped, I'll do the little bit heavier compound. And that leads us into our next question, which is a good one here, which I think we can incorporate some more stuff in, is what are some tips to recover from a lower back injury? It currently hurts for me to do deadlifts and rack pulls. Much love from Toronto, and that was from IP Aaron. But I think we can incorporate a general answer for injury in general is basically if it hurts, stop doing it.
Yeah, if you do not need to deadlift, if your back is killing you every time you deadlift, don't deadlift. Find an alternative. That's the beauty of exercising and fitness. There's always an alternative. Just like if straight barbell curls hurt your biceps, switch to an easy bar, switch to dumbbells. Find an alternative. So that's number 1 for sure, is find an alternative to something.
There's always alternatives. Work around
cables. Find something.
So one thing that annoys me is whenever you go to a doctor or something like that, is they'll just say rest and generally give you rest. But it's not, because if you rest, everything seizes. It gets worse in my opinion. Be clever, train smart, because the thing that's going to give you gains is time.
Yeah.
You take away that time, you're getting injured all the time, you're not going to get those gains. So okay, so you can't do deadlifts and rack pulls, don't worry about it. Your back's not going to suffer as a result. You can still develop a brilliant back with just pull downs, pull ups, straight seated rows. There's so many things.
Do a chest supported row.
Yeah.
Still, hit a diagonal movement. Even if you're trying to strengthen that lower back, do some back extensions with no weight. Work your way up. Do sets of 15. Add a little bit of weight. Do sets of 15. Just build that strength back up. So you don't have to build that strength up with deadlifts or with rack pulls. So
no, that's true. And problem areas, try stretching them out beforehand as well. Makes a big difference. Yeah. And if you are really hurt, seek a rehab training regime.
Yes. I've never really had any injuries.
No, I've never had anything too big, but little nigglies like the shoulder rotator cuff, like little pingers, but they aggravate for a few months, so annoying. And the best thing I ever found was rehab band work, things like that. But prevention is better than cure.
Mobility, foam rolling, mobility.
Yeah, do your foam rolling and do your warm-ups. Whenever you go anywhere, warm the rotators with this movement, and then on the cables pulling across the body there. That will save you a lot of time of grinding and hurting shoulders. This is one, I actually want to answer this one. It's from Daniel Clark, and he's put, what's your macro percentages? Does it vary from bulking to cutting to maintenance?
Forget percentages.
Please, can we put this down? We don't work off percentages. We work off metabolic equations, our lifestyle, age. There's so much more taken into account.
Activity level.
So much more.
It's not just, if it were as simple as, all right, you're going to do 20% fat, 30% protein, and whatever percent carb, then we wouldn't have jobs.
No, we wouldn't. If it was that easy. I mean, you can do it and it'll get you in the ballpark. It'll get you on the path.
Ballpark. But
it's never
generally, guys, I mean, man, it's just
Lainey. She's snoring.
Yeah, it's not that simple, guys. You have to experiment with your protein. If you're getting leaner and leaner, try upping the protein a little bit. If you're 30% body fat, you're not going to need as much protein as someone who's shredded at the same body weight. Fats. Lex responds to lower fat. He increases his carbs. Me personally, if I have low fat, my carbs have to be just stupid high, and so I prefer to drop my carbs a little bit, have a little bit higher fat, and my body responds well to that. Like starts to flatten out and lose a little bit of definition, and just feel like you're kind of.
I just feel puffy every day with a higher than a certain level of fat that I've worked out, and but whereas Christian can clearly, I've been with him for the week now and watched him eat. His body just it soaks those fats up and allows him to eat much more. And he's still struggling hitting the numbers he's got to hit to grow. So,
and even guys like, let's say for being in deficit. Lex, when he's cutting, he's on 50 fat or lower. When he's bulking, he's on 60 fat, maybe 65.
Yeah.
Me, just like Lex, I can diet on low fat. I don't like having a lot of fat when I'm dieting because I prefer carbs. When I'm dieting, I can notice I can be at 45 fat, no issues. I feel great. My hormones are fine. I feel amazing. My strength stays the same. And for me, the carbs, it's carb manipulation. For other people, I have clients that just do not respond well to carbs. They'll be higher fat. I'll increase their fat a little bit, drop their carbs a little bit, and they'll just start dropping weight again. So it's really just different for everybody, guys.
Yeah, it's part and parcel of everybody just being an individual. So it's pretty much that. And of course, everything changes, elevation, but I think both as coaches, we always try to keep our clients' food as high as possible.
Exactly.
And we create weight loss with activity as much as we can before we drop any food.
Yeah, exactly.
So never just crash out. Always try and keep things calm.
And another thing, as a coach, you have to allow your clients, I like to say, like, room. You have to allow yourself wiggle room, meaning you cannot start a client off at 210 carbs and let's say a 6 foot male. You don't start him at 210 carbs. So yes, he's gonna lose weight initially, and then what happens after he stops? You drop him to 180, drop him to 150, or you can start him at 320, see what happens. Maybe drop him to 300, and just have his overall food higher than it would be if you start low. So start high. Not even as a coach, I'm just saying generally start higher, see what your body does, track your weight, get your weekly averages, see on an average every single week what's happening to your weight, or every 5 days if you want to, every 3 days, and make adjustments from there.
Yeah, and same with the cardio. Don't go in and start smashing 2,000 calories of cardio a week because you're going to give yourself nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So you're going to bottom out very quick.
Exactly.
Okay.
What's an analogy for that? All right, guys. You'd rather cut, if you have, a piece of string, you're gonna use a piece of rope to fix something. You'd rather cut it too long than too short. You would rather be able to cut back as opposed to just kind of be stuck with the short rope that's not gonna work.
That's it. Yeah, good way of putting it. What's the easiest way to get a V-taper?
A lot of that's genetic.
Diet down and a V-taper shape is just, some people have quite blocky waists.
Some people have 34-inch waists when they're 6-7%.
Yeah, that's just what it is. Don't worry too much about it. Just try and build your back evenly and concentrate on everything equally. Don't try and focus on just one area. Thoughts on reverse dieting? When can you assure it's done? Okay, so saying when do you know you're out of the reversing stage?
I would say if you start your diet on 3,000 calories and say over time, or your maintenance is 3,000. Let's say you take 2,200 to diet, 2,300. I would say once you're done dieting, slowly over the course of maybe 6 to 10 weeks or so, work your way back up to that initial maintenance level and see what your weight's doing. So
let's say if it's taking you 12 weeks to diet down, it'll probably take you 6 to 7 weeks.
About half of your diet it should take you to get right back up.
That should work for most people, but Some you have to be very careful, because Christian and I get a lot of people who've come through from bad coaching where they've been put on chicken and broccoli, and we were discussing this earlier at dinner, that some of the experiences even our friends have had.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
If you put carbs in their body, they just blow up.
Because they've been taken so low, their BMR has been affected so badly that you have to be very careful bringing them out. And they can be in like a 12-week reverse diet. Yeah. You know, it can be equally as long as the diet's been. So yeah, it's a matter of watching the scales, not more than 2 pounds a month, really.
Yeah, 2 pounds a month. And then another thing, guys, is, of course you're gonna have the clients that take it very slow, gradually add, 20 carbs every week, maybe a few grams of fat here and there until you get back up. But then you also have the clients that you can start them right back on 400 carbs and their body's fine. Ectomorphs. I mean, if you personally, if I diet down for 10 weeks if I'm on 300 carbs, if I bump up to 420, 450, maintain fine. It's just it really depends on the person as well. So
it's hard to judge that one as well, because you can bang some people up to like say book up to 450s, high numbers, and they'll be good for 2-3 weeks, and all of a sudden they'll flatten right out. So you gotta kind of know. A lot of things is all about knowledge and time. Knowing your body or knowing the client.